London has thousands of railway arches, and almost all that can be converted are home to thousands of businesses. But now many business owners are scared and unhappy, and we're going to find out why.
We have been here since 1988, 30 years. We love it here.
This is Chew's Garage.
Okay.
It's run by the Chew family, and you can find it under the railway arches in Hackney.
I spin the wheel to see how the condition of the tire, the wheel, the rim.
When the family first moved into the arch back in the 1980s, it was in a pretty poor state and not in the safest location.
Very rough area. You know, nobody wanted to come to this area. We started everything from nothing, from zero.
The family, who were refugees from Vietnam, staked everything on this arch, determined to build a successful business that could support them all.
When we moved in this area, there's nothing, so we dug the pit here. We dug the pit to make the MOT inspection pit. You know, we borrow a lot of money from friend, relative.
But now they fear they could lose everything.
I cried and I hid my cry, you know.
We came here as refugees, and despite all the challenges, we made something out of the hard work. To have it taken away, it's really sad.
Like thousands of others, the Chews now have new landlords. They were sent a letter.
We have now agreed terms of the sale with Telerail, Trillium and Blackstone Property Partners.
In a £1.5 billion property deal, Network Rail has sold off all its arches.
And we want to reassure you that it is business as usual. The new owner has right to all the businesses.
But the Chews were already fighting a proposed 250% rent increase. And now they don't know what the future holds.
New landlord.
So much uncertainty.
We don't know.
We are just surviving one day at a time.
And theirs is not the only story. To find more unhappiness, you just have to follow the railway lines around London. To start with, we went south to Bethnal Green to meet Marcus, who's a motorbike mechanic. And this was his dream as a boy.
It was just something that I've always liked. I've always loved motorbikes.
He visioned it as a little boy in his bedroom.
The reason his wife Lenny is so upset is the couple are now fighting to save their business.
It's heartbreaking because he put so much into this.
It shouldn't be happening because we all work really hard.
They say the rent for this arch is already due to almost double, and now they've got new landlords to deal with as well.
It's extremely worrying because the new owners are going to want to make a profit on their investment. It feels that something really personal and really precious has been taken away.
The new landlords are two property investment companies with offices in London. They say they're sensitive to the needs of small businesses. They want to invest in the arches to make them more attractive as sites and will develop programmes to mitigate the impact on long-term tenants of any potential rent increases. But there's also some unhappiness with another landlord, and you may find it where underground trains run over the arches.
12,000, 13,000 a quarter, and now we pay £22,500 a quarter.
Connell rents his arch from Transport for London, which is also a big landlord and has thousands of arches across the capital. But he says his rent is now becoming unaffordable.
It was a cheap premises that we could have a go at trying to make something happen, that we could facilitate a need in the industry, that we could help artists perform.
He's been here 19 years. It's a rehearsal and recording studio that attracts the stars. This is the 80s band, The Art of Noise. But for the owner of this business, it's not fun anymore.
I mean, this year alone we had to borrow money to pay our rent because we couldn't afford the increase. I think the fear is that they believe these premises are worth more than they actually are. It really makes you just want to sort of wrap it up and do something else.
Transport for London says it's committed to encouraging small businesses and its rents are negotiated and fair. But for many owners, this was a place to set up because it was cheap and usually cheerful. Hannah's family took on their arch in Bethnal Green 35 years ago, and it took a lot of work to turn into a cafe.
When my father acquired the arch in 1983, these were stables, and there was a lot of horse manure and hay. It took about 2 or 3 months to clear it out completely. The arches were built in the late 19th century. Around the war times, they used to use them as shelters. There's a lot of history here. The old culture is disappearing.
This is how the arches near the embankment used to look. And now, at least according to one tenant, a bit of the character has gone.
There's no original people left, really. There's only like 2 or 3 people left from like the old days. It used to be cheap and cheerful, a lot more activity going on, a lot more people about, a lot more happier people about as well.
The landlord here says they'll start a refurbishment programme soon. And for some businesses, modernisation of the arches, or you could call it gentrification, is the way to go. This is in Southwark, and the owners of this restaurant are happy to pay the higher rent that goes with such an environment because it helps to attract customers.
For us, it's been a case of high footfall. The kind of clientele that come to dine with us, they are willing to spend more. It means business is increasing, it means that we're happy, and it means that they're happy, and that's reflected in the bank account, really. So, we can't complain.
So where might all this lead? Could the cheap and cheerful arches of London gradually turn into premium locations? By the Westfield shopping centre in Shepherd's Bush, you can see a possible future. Once they were derelict, but soon some high street names will be opening for business.
I think regeneration of the arches can be a positive thing. It's bringing jobs and it's bringing a new public space back for the people, the residents of Hammersmith and Fulham, and for people more generally.
For some, it's change that makes sense. But for others, if it means higher rents, it could be the end of the line.